Hey guys, so happy that you're back with me. Hey, I'm going to talk to you about weeding today. Weeding is something that we all seem to have bad memories of. Let's take a look at a few pictures. This picture was taken in late July, and really there isn't a whole lot of us who want to be out in the hot, humid sun pulling those weeds. And so unfortunately, we came up with this idea that we should be using herbicides. The problem with using herbicides is that they're a chemical, they're not safe for the ecology, and so I have found that actually pulling weeds is the most effective way to control weeds. But there are a few things that we're going to take a look at that's going to help us within pulling those weeds tremendously. I can't wait for you to see this and experience this for yourself because it is something very special. That's what's coming up next on Cinagro Gardens. Really, weed control is predicated on not tilling the soil. You should never till the soil. I get questioned all the time on what kind of tiller a person should buy. Don't buy one. With the Cinagro method, we do not till anything ever. Never once, ever. Ever. Whenever we create a new bed, we simply take off the biomass that has been accumulated on the surface, and so usually that is in the form of grass or weeds. So we'll take off that really thin layer of biomass, and then we're going to cover that with compost. Cutting the soil in the form of tilling and plowing is just like cutting the skin on your arm. Microbial life beneath your skin is really counting on that protective covering, just like the microbial life within the soil is looking for protective covering. The protective covering of microbial life within the soil is in the form of biomass accumulation. Several examples of biomass accumulation is grass, it's radishes, maybe red Russian kale, things that we like, but then also things that we don't like, which we call weeds. The real important basic thing for weed control within the Cinagro garden is to never have any. That's a really lofty goal, and it will never happen. You'll always have weeds. But if we never till, which we shouldn't ever till, if we do not till, then we're not going to be disturbing that soil and making it want to put on a scab in the form of weeds. Compost acts as a barrier between the microbial life and the world outside of that microbial life. Plus, the other thing that compost does is it gives us that really nice, frilly material that we want to sow into. So everybody wants to till so that they have something to where they can just really be able to get into the soil and have it be frilly and nice. This compost here fits the bill for that particular need. Even if we cover all of our beds with sifted compost regularly, we're still going to have weeds. Now, the weeds that we do have need to remain small. We need to make sure and get all of them when we're weeding, and we also have to have a schedule to do that. So the small, all, and scheduled methodology is what Cinagro's idea of weed control is. Many of us who have gardened in the past know that these weeds here are actually really small. Take a look at their root structure. It's really easy to get rid of these. So the first thing to do with weeds is to keep all of your weeds small so that we can deal with them easily. All right, so my favorite or one and only tool for harvesting, yes, I said harvesting, weeds is a 2-gallon bucket. So I want you to think about weeding as harvesting, because as we are filling this bucket up with our weeds, Each weed, as long as it doesn't have any seeds on it, which it won't when we're harvesting small weeds, is compostable. So you can think about weeding as harvesting future compost, because this is compost material and it will compost down well for you, and it's just biomass accumulation. How great is that? Think about weeding as harvesting, and it's not as bad. Now we're going to talk about the all in the small all in schedule. You do not want to have any weeds go unnoticed, which is easy to do within the Cinagro method. And we're going to just take a look at the weeds that we have here, and we're going to harvest all of them. We're going to get rid of every last one of them that we possibly can. Here is the before picture. And here is the after. So as you can see, I had quite a few weeds in this bed down here. There's not near as much as this bed over here. So I want to speak to that just for a second. When you first fill a bed with compost, you're gonna have more weeds, and that's okay. Water it as normal. You want those weeds to come up, and then you can get rid of them, and they will not come back near as bad. So that's the other part of the method, is making sure that we get all, which we never do, but it will help us tremendously later on. All right, hey, one last thought that I'm gonna give you, and then I gotta get busy weeding the rest of my beds, is that weeds will take up space, they'll take up water, they'll take up all sorts of resources that we need to have for the crop that we're trying to grow. The other major problem with weeds is they're not pretty. When we get rid of the weeds, we create this environment that is so much more conducive to happiness, or conducive to being joyful when you're in your garden. And so I challenge you to do those three things. Get them small, get every last one of them, get them all, and then be on a schedule. Be on a schedule. A weekly schedule is fantastic, and it keeps everything nice and neat and tidy, and it's just a joy to be around. Hey, if you haven't already, I would like to invite you to go to cinagrogarden.com, where you're going to find a ton of information, and more will be put on there as the days go by. Hey guys, always remember that Cinagro Gardens is here to empower and encourage everyone to grow, even weeds, because we can harvest them as well.